You can handle what today brings. I will focus on what I can control. I will be kind to myself today. I will act, not just feel. I will celebrate small wins.
Welcome back to Vibe Nova, a space for empowerment, mindset, and emotional growth. Here we talk about self-respect, inner strength, and real-life lessons that help you grow mentally and emotionally. If you're ready to think deeper and live stronger, let's begin.
Let's start with one of the most grounding truths you can tell yourself every morning. No matter what happens today, you are capable of handling it. Why do you think this matters so much in shaping one's mindset?
This thought might sound simple, but it is one of the most powerful mental tools you can adopt. Many people start the day already overwhelmed, anxious about what might go wrong, or weighed down by yesterday's problems. When you begin your day with the belief that you can handle what comes not perfectly, but competently, you shift your nervous system out of fear and into readiness. It's like training your brain to expect capability rather than defeat. This mindset doesn't erase challenges. What it does is change your relationship with challenges. Instead of thinking, "What if I fail?" you start thinking, "What if I figure it out?" That subtle shift rewires your confidence over time. You begin to see stress as something your mind and body can navigate instead of something that destroys you before the day even starts. Emotionally, this affirmation builds resilience. When uncertainty is inevitable, and it always is, resilience becomes your anchor. You learn to meet discomfort with curiosity instead of resistance. When setbacks occur, instead of shrinking back into self-doubt, you remind yourself, "I can manage this one step at a time, one breath at a time." By telling yourself that you can handle what comes, you transform vulnerability into strength, not by ignoring reality, but by embracing your ability to respond intentionally to it.
A lot of stress comes from worrying about things we have no power over. Why is focusing on what you can control such a game changer?
This truth is one of the foundational pillars of emotional maturity. Many people wake up already thinking about everything they can't influence: other people's opinions, global events, past mistakes, random setbacks. But anxiety often grows where control ends. When you tell yourself, "I will focus only on what I can control today," you narrow your world in a healthy way. You stop leaking emotional energy into areas where you have no power, and you start strengthening your influence where you do have power. Control isn't about forcing outcomes. It's about choosing your responses. You can't control the weather, the economy, or someone else's mood, but you can control your actions, your effort, your attitude, and how you treat others. That gives you agency. And when you practice agency first thing in the morning, you begin your day not as a reaction to life, but as a deliberate participant in it. This mindset also protects your mental energy. Worry drains focus. But when you focus on what you can influence, like your habits, your goals, your conversations, you build momentum. Progress doesn't always look dramatic, but it feels steady. Emotionally, this truth creates presence. You stop projecting stress forward into unlikely what ifs and start engaging with what is. That clarity increases confidence. You become someone who doesn't wait for the world to become friendly. You act even when it isn't.
Let's talk about self-kindness. Why is telling yourself, "I will be kind to myself," such an important morning truth?
Most people are harder on themselves than they would ever be on a stranger. Self-criticism often masquerades as motivation, but it actually undermines confidence and emotional stability. When you start your day by affirming kindness toward yourself, you're not being soft, you're building inner support. Self-kindness doesn't mean ignoring improvement. It means treating yourself with respect, even while you strive. You acknowledge effort, not just outcomes. You forgive mistakes instead of reliving them, and you choose encouragement over self-attack. That emotional environment inside the one you talk to yourself shapes your entire experience. This doesn't come naturally to everyone. Many people have been conditioned to believe that being hard on themselves will force them to do better. In reality, constant self-punishment drains energy and increases anxiety. But when you intentionally practice self-kindness, you reduce emotional friction. You make room for calm focus and creative problem-solving. Kindness to yourself also changes how you relate to others. When you value your own growth and integrity, You're less likely to tolerate disrespect from others. You make decisions aligned with your worth instead of your fear. Starting the day with self-kindness sets the tone for resilience, courage, and confidence. It prepares you not only to endure life's challenges, but to face them with strength and compassion for yourself and others.
Emotions often dominate how people think about their day. Why is it important to tell yourself, I will act, not just feel?
This truth highlights a critical difference between experiencing feelings and choosing actions. Emotions are powerful, they color your perception and energy, but if you wait to feel motivated before you act, you often end up waiting forever. Action creates momentum, and momentum changes emotions. When you tell yourself, I will act today, you prioritize movement over mood. You might not feel confident, but you can still practice discipline. You might not feel ready, but you can still start. That's where growth happens, not in perfect conditions, but in brave attempts. Emotions will fluctuate. Action is your anchor. When you act, your brain releases chemicals that reinforce progress. Small actions like writing a page, making a call, completing a task build confidence chemically, not just psychologically. This truth also trains you to separate experience from identity. You can experience fear and still act. You can feel doubt and still move forward. When you consistently choose action first, emotion follows. You tell your brain that progress matters more than temporary feelings. Over time, this builds self-trust. I show up even when I don't feel like it. That is the mindset of strong, resilient, purpose-driven people.
Why is celebrating small wins, not just big successes, such an important morning mindset?
Success is often measured in milestones, finishing projects, receiving recognition, or hitting goals. But growth is made of micro moments, consistent effort, tiny improvements, and subtle shifts in behavior. When you begin your day telling yourself you'll celebrate small wins, you train your mind to notice progress instead of lack. Most people ignore small wins and focus only on what's missing. That creates frustration, discouragement, and self-doubt. But a small win like sticking to a plan for an hour, choosing a healthy meal, or resisting a negative thought reinforces identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, not just plans. Emotionally, this builds positive feedback loops. Each celebrated win releases dopamine, the brain's reward signal, which makes you want to continue taking action. You start your day with gratitude for movement instead of guilt for what hasn't been done. This truth also protects you from perfectionism. Progress doesn't require perfection, it requires persistence. When you honor small wins, perfection loses its grip and purpose takes its place. You start appreciating growth, not just results. And when daily progress becomes the priority, life changes quietly and consistently from within.